What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Listen, we back with another Three Stooges video, man. If you guys aren't familiar with the Three Stooges, then you're a little young, possibly. You know what I'm saying? But that's no excuse, man. Go back, do your research, man. They were original funny. Original funny. You know what I mean? Some of their acts, bro, is just, and you have to, when you watch it, remember the time that you're in when you watch it. And I'm telling you, bro, original classical comedy. All right, so this video we about to check out, because the last one we checked out was the tragic death of Moe and kind of the history of the Three Stooges, right? And that video I felt didn't really go in depth. Now, this video here comes from Grunge, the channel Grunge. They put out this tragic details about the Three Stooges. I feel like we'll gain a little more perspective, gain a little bit more information on what really happened with the Three Stooges. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about that is, you know, as fans, we only see the surface stuff that they show us, the comedy. We never really get to hear about what happened, what was going on behind the scenes, what they were dealing with, what kind of pitfalls they had, what kind of obstacles they had to overcome, and different things that they were involved in. You know what I'm saying? We just get the finished product and everything looks all glamorous, but we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And for me, I'm a little bit more I gravitate a little bit towards that, because if I'm invested in a group or artist or comedian or whatever the case, if I'm invested, man, I want to fully get to know. And that for me involves me finding out, like, what did they have to go through? What were they all about? Who were they? You know what I'm saying? Different things like that. So I'm hoping, I know Grunge, because Grunge gave us the Prince story and it went very in depth on that. So I'm pretty sure this may go a little bit more in depth than the last videos we had. All right. So if you're new to the channel, man, hit the subscribe button, join the fam, and let's get into this video. Here we go.
Moe, Larry, and Curly were just a few funny fellas who grew up in the school of hard knocks. Unfortunately for them, the knocks didn't stop coming after they hit it big in show business. Here's a look at the tragic, true-life story of the men known as the Three Stooges. Moses Horowitz, better known to fans as Moe Howard, was the group's fearless leader. He was born in a small Jewish community outside of Brooklyn, the second youngest of 5 brothers. He had shoulder-length hair and was ruthlessly picked on for it, so one day he decided to give his locks a big chop. The result was the famous bowl cut he became known for, long before the Beatles made it cool. Moses survived the bullying in grade school, but he dropped out of high school after just 2 months, as he was far more interested in something else, showbiz. He would stand outside the local theater.
And imagine that back in those times, you know what I mean? Dropping out of high school and education, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays is a little bit more heard of because of the success ratio nowadays, you know what I'm saying? I still wouldn't advise it, but nowadays you have a lot more examples to say, okay, he did this, he did this, he did this, he dropped out, and he turned out okay. Back then, it probably wasn't that many examples of somebody dropping out of school and saying, okay, I'm gonna really go hard for my dreams. He was sort of a pioneer in that aspect. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it was others, but I'd be willing to say it wasn't that many to the point where you could say, hey, you know, I'm gonna go this route. It seemed to work for a few other people that I look up to. You know what I'm saying?
Waiting for someone to buy him a 10-cent ticket. When he'd get in, he'd stand at the top of the balcony, chin on the railing, dreaming about becoming an actor one day. He hustled at the theater, running errands and doing odd jobs until he got his own gig performing in blackface at minstrel shows along the Mississippi River. In 1922, Moe and his brother Samuel, aka Shemp, linked up with Ted Healy and brought their boyhood jostling to vaudeville.
Look how he started out, though. You know, some people have that sense of entitlement, right? The sense of entitlement. Oh, man, I'm not going to go get nobody coffee. I'm not going to do the little grunt work. I'm not going to do that. I am who I am, and I should start here instead of starting at the bottom and working my way up and learning each job on the way up so I can be well-versed in the game. So when my time does come, my number is called, I'm ready for whatever. That type of work ethic to me is lost. So I feel as though they kind of glossed over it quick, but I wanted to back up and highlight that aspect of the game because it's lacking. You know what I'm saying?
Larry Fine was born Louis Feinberg to Russian Jewish parents in Philadelphia. One day, he was playing with his father's jewelry tools and saw what he thought was a refreshing cool drink, but it was actually a bottle of acid used to check the authenticity of gold. He picked it up to take a sip, but his father slapped the bottle away, burning the boy's forearm in the process. He needed a skin graft for the burn, and his doctors had him take up violin lessons as a way to strengthen it. He took to the violin unbelievably well and even ended up playing professionally. In addition to his musical pursuits, he also became a lightweight boxer. In 1925, Larry was playing a musical comedy act in Chicago when he came across Ted Healy, who happened to be playing the same venue and got a look at Larry's show. Larry's bit was good enough that Healy invited him to become one of his Stooges, joining Moe and Shemp. What formed was a lasting friendship between Moe and Larry that lasted for the next half-century. As for Healy, he gave the Stooges their start, though he had a major falling out with Shemp, who eventually parted ways with the rest of the Stooges. When Shemp left the Stooges, Moe's brother Jerome, who went by Jerry, was brought in to try out. The problem was he didn't look very funny. He had brownish red hair and a handlebar mustache, and Ted Healy didn't think people would laugh at him. It also didn't help that his own brother didn't think he had any talent whatsoever. But Jerry was determined, so he shaved his head bald right in front of the guys. He reportedly said, "Boy, do I look girly." Healy thought he heard him say Curly, and the name stuck. The silly and lovable Curly went on to become almost everybody's favorite Stooge. His legacy would live on for decades to come. His on-the-ground shoulder spinning may have inspired breakdancing, and his backward shuffle bounce walk may have even inspired...
That's crazy. Now, he could have just said that. But when you start to think back, I don't know. We have to look and see. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that he started breakdancing, but it could be. It could be. I don't know.
Michael Jackson's moonwalk.
Certainly.
After all...
Okay, now we're going to stop now. He taking credit for Michael Jackson's moonwalk too? We're not going to go that far, fam. All right, let's stop now. Y'all about to lose your credibility with me.
Walk may have even inspired Michael Jackson's moonwalk.
Certainly.
After all the hits, jabs, and slaps the Three Stooges endured, it would be miraculous if they didn't come away with some serious injuries. But miracles didn't happen. In Moe's autobiography, I Stooged to Conquer, he revealed that he often got hurt during filming and once broke 3 ribs. He wrote, "As rough a character as I seemed to be in pictures and as tough as I came across, I was hurt in our films more often than either Larry or Curly or any other member of the cast." Moe also revealed that the origin of the Stooges' violence stemmed from a live performance in 1925 in Brooklyn. Moe told Ted Healy that his brother Shemp was in the audience, so Healy called Shemp to the stage, who wouldn't drop the pear he was eating. While on stage, Shemp offered the pear to Healy, but he refused, grabbing it and smashing it over the newcomer's head. This became a recurring bit, and Shemp became part of the team. Moe's famous two-fingered eye poke also arose thanks to Shemp. The two were playing cards, and when Shemp suspected Larry of cheating, he jumped up and poked him in both eyes. Moe thought the whole thing was hilarious, so he worked it into the act. Harry Cohn, the co-founder of Columbia Pictures, was a bit of a monarch. In fact, he reportedly modeled his office after that of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. His tyrannical reputation extended to his awful treatment of the Three Stooges. After first signing them in 1934, Cohn had the trio sign new contracts every year, convincing them that the shorts department was on its last legs. But that was...
Here we go, man. Somebody always preying on others, man. And I guess that's why I love the Karma series that I be doing, man. Because I would love to see some of these people get their instant karma, man. Like, I hope I'm around for it, bro. You know, because they come in and they prey on individuals who don't know too much about the business aspect of the entertainment business. And that's bad, man. And when they see that you don't have the knowledge and the wherewithal to figure it out and all of that, they prey on those, man, and they take advantage, and that's not right. But it's something that's been going on for eons, bro. Eons. And it's crazy.
It's only half true. Over the years, shorts were going slowly the way of the dodo as TV and feature-length films took over, but Columbia wouldn't close its shorts department for decades.
We are morons, tried and true, and we'll do our yell for you.
In the meantime, the Stooges were making the studio big bucks. While Columbia was only paying each of them a maximum of $20,000 per year, the studio was raking it in. But the Stooges never saw viewership numbers, so they had no idea how popular they really were.
Wow. You piece of whoa. All right, my bad, YouTube. I was about to go there, but I didn't. I didn't say it. But listen, though. $20,000, right? Back then, that still may seem like a little bit more money back then, but still, imagine how much they were bringing in. And he didn't even give a dollar value, but you know it had to be astronomical because everybody was a Three Stooges fan. Like, everybody was watching them. You know what I mean? So they had to be reeling it in. And they didn't show them the numbers. See, that's how they play. That's the game they play. The less you know, the more they're able to keep from you.
To make matters worse, the Stooges manager Harry Rom was ripping them off. He also had a cozy relationship with Cohn. In 2008, Moe's daughter Joan told the New York Times that her dad grew up poor and that he didn't know how to fight for what he and the Stooges were worth. As she put it, "My dad was fearful. He didn't want to rock the boat. He didn't have the confidence to sit down with Harry Cohn and say, 'We need more money.'" The Three Stooges brand of comedy was inspired by Eastern European Yiddish archetypes, the schlemiel, the schlamatz.
How is it that the talent always gets the talent? Oh, you behind the scenes, you can't, without the talent, what are you? So you take advantage of the talent?
And the persecutor. Curly was the childish and clumsy schlemiel, Larry the unlucky schlamatzel, and Moe the abusive persecutor, even though he was just as stupid. This made the Stooges part of a long tradition of Jewish comedy, and while they never explicitly drew attention to their culture or tradition in their act, save for the odd Yiddish phrase or two, they did make two important exceptions. In 1940, while Adolf Hitler was carrying out the Holocaust, the Stooges made You Nazi Spy, starring Moe as Moe Hailstone, a goofy imitation of Hitler. This was the first film to be released that featured an American comedian imitating the German Chancellor, beating out Charlie Chaplin's A Great Dictator by less than a year. Then in 1941, the Stooges came out with the sequel I'll Never Heil Again, thereby forever influencing the world of American political satire.
Let them kill each other, and you and I will share the world.
Everybody loved Curly, but he struggled in his personal life. He was known for reckless partying, hardcore drinking, and falling for women who weren't good for him. All those hits to the head surely didn't help either. By the mid-1940s, his health was visibly declining. He wasn't getting his lines right, he lost weight, and he just didn't look healthy. Moe asked Harry Cohn to give Curly some time off to recover, but the Columbia boss wouldn't allow it. While on set in 1946, Curly suffered a brutal stroke, though he was able to recover. When he was healthy,
I'd have lost my mind. I'm sitting here telling you, man, give him a break. And you say no? I'd have lost my mind, bro. Because I'd have blamed them. Of course, the artist isn't gonna know when to pull back. This is all he knows to do. Sometimes you gotta help the artist watch out for himself. You know what I'm saying? You gotta help him like understand how valuable he is, and help him look out for himself. Because if not, we as, you know what I'm saying, entertainers will keep going and neglect our health. You know what I'm saying?
he appeared in the 1947 Three Stooges short Hold That Lion, which would be his last film. It was the only time that the three Howard brothers appeared in a short together. Curly's health continued to seriously decline as he had more strokes. Moe took it upon himself to be his brother's caretaker, but Curly wasn't long for this world. On January 18, 1952, he died at the tragically young age of 48. Jules White, a director on several Three Stooges shorts, could never forget what Curly said to him on his last day on set. "Gee, Jules, I guess I'll never be able to make the children laugh again." While the Three Stooges rocketed off into stardom, original Stooge Shemp was off doing his own thing after falling out with Ted Healy, and he was doing well and happy on his own. But when his brother Curly died, Moe pleaded with him to rejoin the Stooges. Moe also had to convince Columbia to bring Shemp back. Columbia and Shemp eventually agreed to a deal, although Shemp had to forego half of his paycheck to do so. Shemp's return was successful, albeit short-lived. On November 22, 1955, he was in a taxi on his way home from a boxing match. He was in the middle of a joke, smoking a cigar, when he teetered over and fell onto his buddy Al Winston's lap. He'd had a heart attack and died at the age of 60, just 3 years after his brother Curly's passing. By the end of the 1950s, Columbia Pictures needed to adapt or die. In 1957, the studio was the only one in town that still had a shorts department. They decided to close it as the winds of TV and feature films were sweeping through. With the closure of the shorts department came the decision to let the Three Stooges go after 23 years of blood, sweat, and tears. That's right, they just laid them off without so much as a thank you or a tribute.
That's how they do you. That's how they do you, man. They use you until they can't use you no more, and then they throw you away and discard you. Like trash or memory or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and you be looking like, man, I built this place. What you mean? This the thanks I get? You wouldn't even probably have the opportunity to be looking for another act if I didn't make you look good. This still goes on today, and it's sad because the artists get chewed up and spit out, and it's on to the next one, to the next one, and it repeats and it repeats and it repeats.
If that didn't sting enough, think about how Moe must have felt when he got back to the office to say goodbye to his colleagues and security guards blocked him from entering. Complete and total disrespect was all Columbia had to offer, but that wasn't the last we'd hear from Moe. After the breakup with Columbia, the Three Stooges found new ways to stay on the air. Columbia syndicated their shorts to local and national TV, which not only put more money in the remaining Stooges' pockets, but also made their material more popular than ever before. As new fans emerged, the Stooges started to cash in on merchandising. But there was just one problem: who could replace Curly? A couple of guys named Joe Besser and Curly Joe DeRita ended up filling the role, but most fans don't feel they quite stacked up to the original Stooges. Nevertheless, in the 60s, the Stooges managed to churn out feature-length films, 41 wraparound segments, and a cartoon series. In 1969, they even started shooting a pilot for a proposed travel TV show called Kook's Tour. Alas, a tragic event in 1970 prevented any footage from ever being shot. Just like his comedy brothers, Larry Fine had a hard personal life. He squandered a lot of his dough on gambling, which meant that he and his family spent a lot of time living in hotels. In 1961, his son John died in a car crash at the age of 20.
No judgment from me. No judgment from me, man. I may not have it bad, but boy, I got the gambling bug, man. Maybe it's good that the cruise ships are shut down, man. You go on them cruise ships, I hit that roulette table, bro. Start itching, man. Itching, and then you playing, you doing good, then you lose, then you like, I gotta get it back. I will never, ever, you hear me? Never, ever judge somebody who has a gambling problem, bro. It is real. You think somebody who has a drug problem has an addiction? Gambling is one of those too, bro. Seriously.
24. 6 years later, his wife Mabel died as well. He heard the news just before he was about to take the stage for a gig in Rhode Island, and his castmates covered for him when he was too distraught to go on. In 1970, when the Stooges were in the midst of planning Kook's Tour, Larry had a stroke that paralyzed the left side of his body and put him in a wheelchair. 5 years later, he had another stroke and died at the age of 73. Meanwhile, Moe was still trying to keep the Three Stooges alive. Even after Larry died, Moe signed longtime Stooge co-star Emil Sitka to a deal, but it wasn't meant to be. 3 weeks after Larry's passing, Moe succumbed to lung cancer. And with that came the end of one of the most fascinating and influential acts to ever grace American screens.
Hi, remember us? That's how we made our living for 50 consecutive years.
Yeah, we got scars to prove it.
And I still got a few of the aches and pains. Yep.
Check out one of our newest videos.
This one went a little bit more in depth, but not much. It was still pretty, but I feel as though we gradually continue to learn bits and pieces about the Stooges, man. The thing I didn't like, man, is hearing about them getting ripped off so much, man. I just hate to see people get taken advantage of like that, man. But it happens every single day, man. And the people that do that, bro, I believe wholeheartedly in karma. That's why I do the karma. I believe in karma, bro, and they will have their day. Trust me, they will have their day, bro, because it ain't right. It ain't right, man. You take advantage of people like that, it's not right. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how you sleep at night. But rest in peace to the Three Stooges, man. One of the most influential, like they said, influential comedy groups to ever grace us with their presence, bro. Like, seriously. Rest in peace. Tragic details about the Three Stooges, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a like, share the video, subscribe, and stick around and stay tuned, man. Till the next reaction, I'm out. Peace out. Stay solid. Hey.